Hey everybody, it's Jeff from Angeles City, Philippines. I'm over here in my outdoor conference room, getting ready to head over to the construction site. It is a Sunday afternoon, about 2:45. Actually just finished at the pool, a beautiful day today. Rainy season day, but actually absolutely beautiful today. So not much happened since the last vlog. The last time I videoed over there was this past Friday. I was there yesterday, but it didn't do any video. So we'll take a walk through today, see what happened in the last day. And then I'll spend a little bit of time and just talk about strategies managing your Filipino construction workforce. I get a lot of questions on that. I was looking at my analytics on YouTube, and about 50% of my viewers are from the US, and then another 15% are from places other than the US, and then the remainder of the viewers are from the Philippines. So I think there's probably a pretty large group of people who've spent little to no time here, which is the reason why they're a little curious about it. So we'll talk more about that in a minute, so stay tuned. So they're continuing to work on the cladding on the front porch here. Again, they chipping it out up there so the adhesive concrete adheres to that. If they don't chip it out, it's not going to hold very well. But they're continuing on with that. I'm going to use that same tile on the front porch and that same tile, except the larger pieces, for the walkway down here to the sidewalk. And looks like they're just about done with the tiling in the garage. One of the viewers asked why I tiled my garage. Sort of a foreign concept in the West, or at least in the US. But here, garages and carports, although garages aren't all that common, carports are typically tiled. We looked at epoxy and polished concrete for the garage, but decided to do the tile since those other two methods aren't all that common. And again, I didn't want to have my house as the training facility for learning how to do epoxy floors and polished concrete. The garage door guy was here yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. So everything's tracking except maybe this light. The garage door may hit this light, so we may have to remove this light. And I don't know, maybe we'll put it over here over the little tool table that we're going to set up. And they haven't done this yet. I think they're holding off until all the wiring is ran through here, and then they're going to put this tile in through here. But the electricians are continuing to run power. We're going to eventually put a slab of concrete out here and tile it with that gray tile that's in the front. All the tiling in the maid's quarters is done, with the exception of a small little piece up here. And then in the living room, dining room, kitchen area, they are all done tiling there. And they have started to put the baseboard in the living room area. And in the office, they finished all the baseboarding in the office. So they will skim coat this wall again and take the skim coat down to the top of the tile and paint that, and it'll be a nice smooth finish. And the grouting, my builder likes to wait until the very end to do the grouting. And we had 2 doors delivered a couple weeks ago, and then the other, I think there's 14 doors, were delivered yesterday, I believe. So we have all the doors. I'm not sure what kind of wood it is. It is not a mahogany, but it is a hardwood. And they're big, heavy-duty doors, unlike what we're used to seeing in the West, those little hollow pieces of shit. These are good, heavy-duty doors. Yeah, nothing more done out here. We'll take a walk upstairs and see what they did upstairs. So in the master's bedroom, I know the painters were here on Saturday painting. I think they have it totally primed in their painting. I think this is actually painted up on the top there now. And I think he might have started painting the wall, or I don't think he started painting the wall. Maybe he's gonna do that tomorrow. But you gotta get that done because the furniture is being delivered on Tuesday. And they haven't done, this is all primer here in the foyer area. The walk-in closet. They primed this, and they have not yet started the ceiling in any of the upstairs bathrooms. So, yeah, really not much since the last time. Well, nothing really in my daughter's room or the spare bedroom, although it looks like they might have finished the ceiling in here. And as I mentioned many times before, communication is key. And as hard as I try to communicate, it seems like the information doesn't get down to the people who are actually doing the work. So the painters, looks like they finished the wall in here, but they were supposed to cut, or they finished the ceiling, and they're supposed to cut an access hatch into the attic. So they'll go back in there and cut that after the ceiling is finished, because right now this is the only access into the ceiling, and that's gonna be covered. And then the cabinets, we're having a hallway linen closet that's being gonna be put in here. So that'll wrap it up for the status on the build for this vlog. So we'll just segue right into strategies for your construction workforce. Before I get into it, I mentioned this to several other viewers and friends. The construction workers don't work directly for me. I have a contract with the builder, and the construction workers, actually in this case they're subcontractors, or most of them are subcontractors to him. So they don't work directly for me. But whether, if you're building a house here, and whether your workforce works directly for you or indirectly, regardless of what type of contract that you have, there's some common strategies that are good to use. Whether you've been here before or not, it's a completely different animal when you live here and you're building a house. For myself, patience has not been something that I was always very good with. And anybody that's ever worked for me would tell you I'm probably a bit of a micromanager. So those two traits are probably not very conducive with managing a workforce over here. It's a little bit of a challenge. It's a little bit of a challenge for me. Every day is a challenge, but I think I become a better, definitely more patient since I've been here the last 18 months. And I've been here many times over the years, and then have lived here for about the past 18 months. But until you're actually involved in something like building a house and are dealing with Filipino workforce on a daily basis, it's just indescribable. You have to experience it yourself. When you talk about strategies to use when dealing with the Filipino workforce, in this case, construction workers for your home build. How many strategies do I have? I don't know. I guess we'll just go through them one by one. Probably 5 or 6 for me main strategies, and I think probably the most important thing to do is to really understand the culture here, which is very, very important, because although there's a lot of American influence in the Philippines, this is not America. It's not Australia. It's not the UK. It is the Philippines, and they have their own culture and their own way of doing things. And I mentioned in one of the other videos 2 Tagalog words that play a role, especially when you're interacting with Filipinos on a professional basis, which is bahala na, which basically means it is what it is, and pakikisama, which is trying to keep harmony within the group. And it's important to understand those 2 Tagalog words and how they play a part in your workforce. But bahala na often means, well, it can mean a lot of different things, but usually it's because there's not a whole, well, not usually. Bahala na is if something doesn't get done or doesn't happen, it is what it is. There's not a whole lot of planning towards contingencies. It's just, bahala na, we'll deal with it when we deal with it. And pakikisama, trying to keep harmony within the group, comes into play, a lot of times, because Filipinos are very, very polite, and us in the United States maybe aren't always so polite. We're very, very direct when we communicate, and it's just how we operate, especially in the workplace. Here, Filipinos are very, very polite, and they may not be as direct. Matter of fact, sometimes our directness can be seen as being rude or complaining. And yes, I resemble that remark because I guess since I've been here, like many other foreigners, I have a tendency of complaining. I try not to do too much, but I do, and most Filipinos don't complain that much. So you have to understand that it's a cultural thing here, and understanding that when you're dealing with some of the workforce is important. And with those two terms, one of the things I noticed is Filipinos, because they are so polite, they're not always inclined to give you the bad news, because it's just, I guess, better not to give you bad news. And from the West, and me personally, I want to hear bad news. Bad news does not get better with time, so I prefer to hear it in the very beginning. And a lot of times when you're dealing with your workforce, they oftentimes will tell you what they think you want to hear and not necessarily what the real deal is. And then another thing you hear a lot of foreigners complain about, and I guess in some cases, well, in a lot of cases it is true, but the reasoning behind it may be different, but cutting corners. During a house build, are there corners cut? Yeah. And I think sometimes it's done for different reasons. Sometimes you may have a builder that maybe isn't as financially well off as some other bigger builders that do a lot of builds and have the money. So they may try to cut corners for cost reasons. Or you may have a workforce that is cutting corners because in the Philippines, a lot of your workforce is not at the financial status that maybe you were used to back in the West. So they really have to find ways of stretching their money, because a lot of times they are just getting by day by day and just having enough money to buy the bare essentials. So in their life, they have to learn how to do that, whether it's to stretch the gasoline for their scooter or stretch their money for food. They have to, oftentimes they have to use their imagination, figure out ways of doing things to stretch things along. So sometimes in a home build, I think that they may believe they're doing you a favor by doing this or doing that because they're saving you some money or time, and that may not be necessarily what you want. So you have to keep an eye on that and understand that that's not always because somebody's trying to cut corners to save some money. A lot of cases it is, but in some cases it's not really the real reason behind that. Regardless of what your work relationship is, I know some foreigners with building experience, they'll come over here and they'll just hire their workforce and manage them on their own. And some foreigners have given me advice and say, well, just fire these guys and do this and do that. And you can if you want, but for me, it's sort of a double-edged sword, and you just have to figure out what the best situation is for you and how to deal with that. But regardless of the setup that you have, you should always have a foreman, and I would recommend having a foreman that speaks English pretty well. That should be the go-between. That should be the one that's talking to the workers. If you have a problem with what the workers are doing, if they're throwing trash all over, whatever, you want to try to refrain from addressing that directly with the workers and have the foreman do that. Now, me personally, I talk to the workers on a pretty regular basis, but it's just like, you know, if you were in the military, you know that you praise in public, but if somebody's doing something wrong, you don't confront them in front of everyone else, and it's no different here. If you see one of your workers doing something they shouldn't be doing, it's always best to pull them aside and talk to them aside, or better yet, have the foreman address it. And what you're gonna find is there's certain things that you're gonna have to keep repeating over and over again, whereas you think that you should only have to say something one time and it's gonna be followed. Here you're gonna have to say it multiple times. And you know, the trash, and I'll probably do another vlog on the trash, but your workforce, a lot of them don't understand the importance of putting trash in a trash can, because that's not really something that's done quite often here, especially in urbanized areas. Trash has become a big problem here. So especially on my work site, trash has been an ongoing issue, although it's gotten much better now. But that's something that I had to constantly remind everybody, and now we're pretty good. So you're gonna have to constantly communicate things, and if it's something that you're adamant about, it's gonna have to be something that you constantly talk to them about. Attitudes towards deadlines and punctuality are a little different here than they are in the West. In the West, those things are very important. Here, they're not always as important. So it's important that you ensure that your workforce, you know, especially if you're the one paying for things, you have some expectations, and it's something that you're gonna have to, again, constantly remind those of what your expectations are, whether it's on punctuality, if the workers are working directly for you or not. And then again, I said earlier, the workers don't work directly for me, but you know, one of the things that I always scratch my head over here is salary. Most Filipinos, when they get paid by the day, not by the hour. And the same thing on the construction site here. These workers, whether they're just a laborer or skilled laborer, they get paid by the day, not by the hour. I don't quite understand that. You know, in the US, I don't know how it is in other countries. I'm assuming it's by the hour as well. But if you have a workforce that's working directly for you, that may be something you want to consider here, is make the payment by the hour. Since punctuality isn't always that important, I think the way that you can help address that is by the hour. When I was in the US and had people working for me, and anybody who's had people work for them knows that you always have that one guy or that one gal that just has a tendency of not wanting to come to work on time. Maybe 20 or 30 minutes on a pretty regular basis. So the way that I would correct that in the US is I would put that person on unpaid leave. And you only have to do that a few times till that person realizes they're losing money and they probably should show up to work on time. So would that work here? I don't know. But I don't quite understand why it's a daily rate and not an hourly rate. Maybe somebody out there watching can explain why that is here, why it's pretty common to get a daily rate versus an hourly rate. And then lastly, I think that's, I don't know if I have strategy 6. Remember, this isn't your country. Again, there's a lot of American influence here, and sometimes you may forget that you're in a foreign country, but this is not our country. They have their own way of doing things, and you have to understand that and respect it. And again, if you're paying for something as big as a house, then yeah, you have some expectations. But if you come over here and expect this to run the way that you would run a business in the US, or treat your employees the way you would treat them in the US, you're gonna be in for a rough time. So you need to check that attitude. Like I said, patience has never been my thing, and I've always been a bit of a micromanager in the weeds on a lot of things. And here you'll freaking stroke out if you can't adjust your personality. It's just not, it's not conducive to this type of environment. So those are my thoughts. I'm sure with the 25% of the viewers that are from the Philippines, or that are actually living in the Philippines, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers from other countries, a lot of them may be Filipinos as well. I'd be happy to hear your thoughts on some of this. But those are my thoughts, and just my thoughts and just my opinions, and they may not be the opinion that you have, and that's fine. But thanks for joining. If you are not yet subscribed and you like this home build type stuff, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down there, and you will be notified the next time I post a vlog. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have comments or questions, please put them in the comment section. And again, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are around the world. And thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.